Welcome to Geek Philosophy, where we love geeky wisdom. If you're new to the channel, my name is Brian, and today we're going to be diving into the secretive world of Thieves Cant in Dungeons & Dragons. We're going to explore its origins and draw parallels with real-world secret codes to enrich your D&D campaign, really any tabletop role-playing game campaign. Let's set the stage by highlighting what the D&D 5e core rules say about Thieves Cant. During your training, you learned Thieves Cant, a secret mix of dialect, jargon, and code that allows you to hide messages in seemingly normal conversation. Only another creature that knows Thieves Cant understands such messages. It takes 4 times longer to convey such a message than it does to speak the same idea plainly. In addition, you understand a set of secret signs and symbols used to convey short, simple messages, such as whether an area is dangerous or the territory of a thieves guild, whether loot is nearby, or whether the people in an area are easy marks or will provide a safe house for thieves on the run. So that means there's both a verbal component and a symbolic component to this language. Great place to start, but how can we make this a little bit more immersive for our games? Well, let's give it a little bit of a historical context first. Let's talk about Thieves Cant in the real world. Well, I'll have to be honest here. The first time I read this as a kid, I thought I caught an error in the book and they missed the little apostrophe in the contraction for cannot. But alas, I was not that smart. The word cant actually has its origins in the late Middle Ages, and it's derived from the Latin cantare, meaning to sing. Over time, it evolved into the jargon or slang used by various groups, particularly those on society's fringes, and it helped keep their conversations private. Now, having a specialized language like this serves many purposes. It definitely has secrecy built in. You can preserve the secret meaning of things, but it's also the reinforcement of group identity. And while slang and jargon are definitely part of the history of Thieves Cant, there are also non-verbal components of this type of communication. And similar to Hobo Code, and we'll talk about that shortly, historical versions of Thieves Cant may have included the use of symbols or markings left in strategic locations. And these could indicate things like safe houses or mark territories or warn of risks. These symbols would discreetly be integrated into the environment, and they would only be recognized to people that were in the know. Then there are physical cues, like the way an individual might wear their hat, or the arrangement of, physical items on a person, even deliberate positioning of objects in places that could serve as messages to those that are aware of their significance. Okay, so let's talk about a few of these real-world examples that may be inspirational when you're fleshing out your campaign world. First, let's talk about the Hobo Code. Not my name for it, by the way. It emerged in the United States around the late 19th and early 20th centuries, and while the origin of the word is unknown, hobos were migrant workers and wanderers who traveled across the country, and they often hopped freight trains to get from one place to another while they were searching for work. Life on the road was dangerous, and the Hobo Code was developed over time as a survival tool. And this code was a series of symbols drawn on fences, posts, sidewalks, buildings, even rail cars, and it provided information, warnings, and tips to fellow travelers that understood the code. These symbols could indicate where you could find work, or water, or food, or even a safe place to sleep for the night. But they also warn about things like dangerous dogs, or hostile law enforcement, or uncharitable townsfolk in the area. The Hobo Code was an essential part of that culture, and it represented a secret language that fostered a sense of community and solidarity amongst those that were living on the margins. In the world of Dungeons & Dragons, the Hobo Code could be transformed into a universal system of symbols known amongst all of those roving adventurers that you might have playing the game, travelers, and those who were living on the fringes of society. We're talking rogues here, but implementing this type of non-verbal language or simple marks and signs could bring an added layer of depth and exploration and interaction within your game world. Make up your own symbols, or even better, have the players make up their own. Okay, so here are a few ideas on how to adapt some form of Hobo Code as part of Thieves Cant for your campaign. You could take the form of guides and warnings. Just like in the real world, symbols could be used to indicate safe havens, dangerous areas, resources like food or water, or even mark the territory of thieves guilds or secret organizations. It may take the form of secret communications. You could facilitate this type of communication between characters who are in the know, allowing them to leave a message for one another without attracting unwanted attention. This can be particularly helpful in urban settings where eyes and ears are everywhere. Now, this could also be a way of providing some difficult choices to the players. For example, in the bustling city of Grand Ridge, the party discovers a symbol, a cloaked dagger etched into a wall. Now, this Thieves Cant symbol hints at a nearby safe house, but warns of betrayal. Should we explore the safe house for potential allies and information, or avoid a possible trap? Yeah, good stuff. Okay, let's talk about another example of symbols hidden in plain sight, this time on a person's body. Let's talk about Irumi, the traditional Japanese practice of tattooing. Irumi has deep historical roots, dates back all the way back to the Edo period of Japan, and possibly earlier than that. Initially, tattoos in Japan were used for spiritual and decorative purposes, as well as to mark criminals as a form of punishment. But in the Edo period, tattoos started to become associated with firemen and manual laborers, but later, the Yakuza, Japan's organized crime syndicates. For the Yakuza, Irumi became a symbol of bravery due to the pain involved with all of that tattooing, but also loyalty to the organization. The full body tattoos, which were often hidden under clothing, told stories of an individual's life and achievements and affiliations. And this practice was actually banned for various periods throughout history, and it pushed it farther into the fringe and the underground, associating it with criminal elements. Despite the stigma, though, Irumi remains a critical part of Japan's cultural heritage. It embodies intricate artistry and deep symbolic meaning. So, in your D&D campaign, Irumi-inspired tattoo practice can serve as a silent testament to a rogue's identity and achievements and allegiances. And these tattoos can offer a complex narrative tool for both players and dungeon masters to provide more than just decoration. They're storybooks of a rogue's life, etched in ink under the skin. So here are a few ideas that you could use to adapt something like Irumi as part of your Thieves Cant in your campaign. Now, tattoos could instantly convey the reputation of a rogue, a person's status within an organization, or even a specialized set of skills that they may have. Maybe they're a master thief or an assassin. That could be something that would be really good to know if you run across someone with that tattoo. And it could alter how NPCs and characters interact with them over time. And this recognition can open up doors to all kinds of exclusive contracts or mark them as a target for rival factions. Sky's the limit. But tattoos can also signify membership in elite guilds or secret societies within the game world. These tattoos could serve as proof of loyalty and may be required to access hidden meetings or secure the assistance of fellow members. For a rogue, these connections are invaluable. It offers protection and information and resources that may be scarce in your campaign world. But each tattoo on a rogue's body could also represent a significant milestone or personal achievement, like a high-profile heist or a dangerous mission that changed the course of their life. And these types of tattoos could serve as a personal record for accomplishments and losses, and it adds depth to the character's backstory and ongoing story, and it provides, all kinds of opportunity for role-playing interaction. Now, tattoos can also incorporate coded elements or hidden messages only readable to those versed in that guild's understanding of what those tattoos mean. A group of rogues might have tattoos that fit together. Maybe they put their arms together or something, and it actually shows a path to a specific map. That's a freebie, guys. Use that one if you like it. Okay, let's talk about carnival slang, or Carney. Carney emerged alongside the rise of traveling carnivals and circuses in the late 19th and early 20th century in the United States. Carnivals were a source of entertainment for the public, and it brought a variety of different performances and shows right to your area. Carney arose as a form of coded communication among carnival workers, allowing them to speak freely in front of customers without being understood. And this secret language included a mix of slang and abbreviations and jargon unique to carnival life. Now, not only did it help operations run smoothly, and it protected some of the trade secrets, it also strengthened the bonds within the community, creating a sense of belonging and identity among the members of the carnival troupe. By the way, there are elements of Carney in the world of professional wrestling. Check out my video about pro wrestling and storytelling to learn more about that. So Carney reflects the rich, eclectic culture of the carnival world, which can mean both the camaraderie and the exclusion. Now, incorporating something similar to Carney into a D&D campaign introduces an element of mystery and subterfuge, which is perfect for games that involve things like traveling performers, or magical fairs, or hidden societies. That's fine too. Any way you want to shape it, you can make this work in your game. So here are a few ideas to adapt some form of Carney as part of Thieves Cant into your campaign. You could do the obvious and actually have a traveling carnival in your campaign setting, and maybe the players bump into it from time to time. Every once in a while, the carnival might be in the area where they are. Maybe they join the carnival, and the carnival movements gives you a chance to have an entire campaign depending on where the carnival is traveling and who they're going to interact with. You could have a learning curve to Carney, meaning that they learn a little bit more about this language as they level up. You could introduce lessons with an NPC mentor, or they could find sort of a journal that had someone keeping a log of all of this as a written language, which is a no-no. But my favorite part of using something like this as Thieves Cant in your world is to include traditions, superstitions, and a carnival hierarchy that might come into play. And this cultural exploration can enrich the game world and provide a backdrop for complex character development and storytelling that is true to your world. Now, again, don't just rip out from culture in the real world, just be inspired by it to create something for your campaign. Now, these are just a few examples, and I'm sure you'll find some of your own that work even better for you at your table. Comment below with any of the ideas that you've come up with for how to use Thieves Cant at your table. Hey, if you found this video useful, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on any of our content. It's completely free, and it really does help the channel. I appreciate it. All right, well, thanks for joining me for this little bit of geek philosophy about bringing Thieves Cant to life in your D&D campaign. As we wrap up, I'd like to remind you of a quote from Locke Lamora. "There's no freedom quite like the freedom of being constantly underestimated." Cheers.